What is up, everyone? We are back once again with our series of how to win your draft with every single pick. Last time we did this, we talked through the number one pick, some different strategies to consider when drafting from the number one pick. But instead of going to pick number two today, I felt like we should mix it up and go to the other end of the board and start off with the 12th pick today. I think this is a pick that a lot of people really actually enjoy having. I, for one, do prefer the 12th pick, or at least drafting later on. But the 12th pick is nice because A, you're on a turn still, but B, you get the opportunity to kind of see how the board falls in the first round. We've all been in a league where somebody in your league decides to go Patrick Mahomes in the first round, or some random pick in the first round. And all that does for the guy drafting at 10, 11, and 12 is push value down the board. And maybe you play in a league that's a lot more competitive, and these things don't happen. But when it does happen, it can be very, very beneficial for you at the 12 spot because you're just getting guys pushed down to you. When we're talking about drafting from the 12, we do have some things we got to consider similar to the one spot. We do want to come in with a little bit more preparation as far as, am I wanting an elite quarterback or an elite tight end? Because if I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes in this draft, it's going to have to happen at that first pick in the second round, which to me is too early. I personally am not going to reach for Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to reach for Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. The only way I'm going to end up with one of those top three guys is if somehow they fall to the third round. I don't envision that happening. So I'm going to have to decide, am I going to take a quarterback at that 3-4 turn, try to start a run on those next level of guys, or am I going to sit and wait it out and try and take a guy a little bit later? Those are things that you want to consider before your draft even starts so that you kind of have an idea of what your roster construction will look like. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Fortunately enough for me, CeeDee Lamb does make it to me. I love grabbing CeeDee Lamb at the end of the first round if he falls that far. That's going to be my first pick that I'm going to take. Like I said, not willing to be the first guy to take quarterback. I'm not going to take Patrick Mahomes here. Looking at the board, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, Amon-Ra. If I'm looking at those four guys right now, I do not trust Jonathan Taylor as far as I can throw him. I'm not taking Jonathan Taylor right now. Patrick Mahomes, like I said, no thank you. Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, and Amon-Ra St. Brown are the three guys that I'm considering at this pick. Personally, Devontae Adams with Jimmy G just is not as enticing as it once was for him. So it comes down to Chubb and Amon-Ra. Am I going to try and get an RB1 here, or am I going to load up at the receiver position? Me personally this year, I love the value at wide receiver at the top of the draft board this year. I love getting at least one of those elite guys, but pulling away with two of them and being able to grab some really quality running backs later in the third, fourth, and even 7, 8 rounds. There's some really high value guys down there. And so I'm comfortable passing on running back in the first and second round and waiting to see what falls to me. For example, Kenneth Walker fell, Aaron Jones fell, Joe Mixon fell. These are all guys that I absolutely love taking here at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. This, however, is also the area where I need to consider, am I going to take quarterback here? Lamar Jackson is sitting there. Justin Fields is there. Justin Herbert is there. There's guys here that I can take at quarterback if I want to lock down that position as well. Because I loaded up on receiver at my first two picks, obviously I am going to go running back. I'm going to take Aaron Jones. I love the situation he's in with Jordan Love. Obviously, A.J. Dillon is there, but Jones has been with Dillon for the last couple of years, and it has not slowed down his production. And because I picked up those two receivers earlier, I am going to take my quarterback right here, and I'm going to take Lamar Jackson. And part of doing this as well, I'm hoping that this will, make that run of quarterbacks even more, kind of push it a little bit more. See Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, maybe even Trevor Lawrence go on the way back to me, and try and push some of the value back my way. When it comes back to me at the 5-6 turn. So very comfortable taking Lamar Jackson at the beginning of the fourth round. Fields and Herbert are gone. I could have waited and gotten Trevor Lawrence as he's still on the board, but there definitely is a tier drop off from Jackson to Lawrence. So I'm happy to pull the trigger and take Lamar Jackson. Now, again, I have another decision to make. Tight ends, there's already 4 taken off the board in a 12-team league. 7 guys without a tight end. So do I want to be one to come away with a top 5 tight end? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. For me personally, I love Dallas Goedert this year. I'm going to be taking Dallas Goedert with this pick and feeling really good about it. And now I'm back at the point where, am I going to fill in my running back too, or am I going to get a really solid flex option? Looking through some of these guys, Michael Pittman, some value here, but I do have question marks about Anthony Richardson in that offense. Marquise Brown, again, question marks with that Cardinal offense. Brandon Ayuk is the 4th option in the 49ers offense. So I don't really love a lot of the receiver value here. So I am going to look at my running back spot, and a guy that I do like a lot, and he's actually down here a tad bit, so he's not one of these top tier guys. But Rashad White is a guy that I'm willing to reach a little bit on this year. He's playing with potentially Baker Mayfield, who led the league in check down rate last season. And if it's not Baker Mayfield, it's Kyle Trask, who's a young player who has not had much experience. He's gonna be looking underneath, trying to check the ball down as much as he can. So I feel really good about Rashad White this year. Very excited to draft him in just about every one of my leagues. And so if it means reaching for him at the beginning of the sixth round to make sure I get him, I'm definitely comfortable doing that. Board falls back to me, and I actually got handed a really good looking board right here. Jahan Dotson, Jordan Addison, and Jackson Smith and Jigba all sitting there for me to take one of these guys as my next receiver to put in my flex. I like all three of these guys. Jordan Addison to me and Jackson Smith and Jigba. The only thing there is that with KJ Osborne in Minnesota, I know that KJ or Jordan Addison is expected to be the receiver too, but KJ Osborne turned it on there at the end of last season and had a lot of production. But this really is tough. These are all three really solid guys. I'm gonna go with Jahan Dotson here. I loved what we saw from him last season, and I feel a little bit better about a year two breakout than I do a rookie breakout. And so I am going to go with Dotson over those two, even though they're both great options. I'm in a spot where I could end up taking the other one right now. I could go boom, boom, go receiver, receiver if I wanted to in this spot. Looking at my roster, I do need another flex. So it's do I take one of those guys or do I take another running back that I'm really high on? And because I took two receivers off the bat, and I'm a little weaker at running back, I am actually going to take James Cook here. I love the opportunity or the situation that James Cook is in this season. He was used in the passing game a decent amount last season, even with Devin Singletary there. And so now with him being the primary back, obviously Damian Harris is there. There's a lot of hype around James Cook coming out of Buffalo right now. Josh Allen spoke very highly of him the other day. And so very happy coming away with James Cook there at the beginning of the eighth round. Now we get to that 9-10 turn. Charbonnet is currently injured right now. Samaje Perine, definitely some value there. I don't necessarily feel like I need another running back right now, though, after just taking the last couple. As I look down the board here, there's not really any huge names that jump out at me. But with the Tim Patrick injury and Sean Payton being in Denver now, I do like the positive progression that will likely come for the Broncos this season. So I do like taking Cortland Sutton this year. He's obviously being taken considerably later than he was last season, but I do feel like there's quite a bit of value at that pick. Since I'm taking Cortland Sutton there, I don't want to pair him with Samaje Perine. I'm going to look down the board here a little bit. Because I feel pretty good about this team, I'm going to take Jamison Williams. I'm very, very excited about Jamison Williams this season. When he does come back from his, I'm not comparing Jamison Williams to DeAndre Hopkins, but we've seen guys like D-Hop last year come off suspension and be very successful. Jamison Williams is a freak athlete. There's a reason the Lions traded up for him a year ago to draft him in the first round. 100% a first round talent. Feel really good about that pick right there. As we get down to the bottom here, we talked about this strategy last time, and I think it still stands a little bit. I am going to be the first one to take kicker or defense. I know there's some people that disagree with this, but I think there is value in coming away with the best at one of those positions. So I am going to go ahead and take Justin Tucker. Might be a little bit early, but I'm going to make sure that I get him. Probably should have taken him next just so it didn't look like I completely reached on him in the 11th and took him at the 12-1 instead. But with that, I've got the best kicker in football. I feel great about that position. Somebody else is going to start taking one here down the stretch. Rounding out the receiver position on my team, I am going to take Rondale Moore. Used a lot underneath. Really, really like Rondale Moore this season. Looks like I should have gone defense first, actually. Keep that in mind, I guess. At this point, not getting the 49ers defense or the Eagles defense, one of those top defenses, I'm probably going to end up streaming these defenses. But looking at the top three that are left, I'm going to go ahead and take the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of sense. And now because I already took my kicker, I actually get to go with another skill position here. Looking at the board, because I have Lamar Jackson, I do want to make sure that I get a somewhat serviceable backup quarterback just because of his injury history. And I'm going to take the upside of Jordan Love. That we don't know what Jordan Love's going to be capable of this year. I do enjoy drafting him this season because While there's a lot of people that are skeptical about Jordan Love and thinking that he's going to have a rough season, it's very possible that he has a great year. And so I am going to take Jordan Love as my backup quarterback, and that's it. That is our draft from the number 12 pick. So when we go back and look at this draft now, Lamar Jackson at quarterback, we took him in the 4th round. Absolutely love that pick. Waiting for Aaron Jones as our RB1 to pull off CD Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown as our top 2 receivers. 100% comfortable with that, and I actually absolutely love looking at that right there. Rachaad White in the 6th round. I'm a huge Rachaad White fan this season. Hopefully that's a take that ages really well. And then Dallas Goedert. I still got one of the top 5 tight ends. Jahan Dotson, James Cook, 2 guys that can take a big step forward this season. Got the best kicker, got a really solid defense, and have some really nice pieces on my bench. I did completely spaced that I didn't have another running back, so I probably should have taken, let's go back here and look, a Jerick McKinnon, a Kendre Miller. Yeah, a Devin Singletary, especially since I had James Cook. Tank Bigsby, there's a lot of hype behind him as well. So definitely probably should have gone running back with one of those spots, but those are 3. High volume guy in Cortland Sutton, high ceiling guy with Jameson Williams when he comes back. And Rondale Moore is a guy that's going to get utilized a lot underneath in that Cardinals offense. So that's drafting from the number 12 pick. Really like how this team turned out. And once again, if you don't have the number 12 pick, if you don't have the number 1 pick, we haven't got to your pick yet. Don't worry, we will. So make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss the rest of these videos as we're pumping them out to make sure that you dominate your draft from your pick. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.